8, I'd like to call to order the policy subcommittee meeting Wednesday, October 2nd. Roll call, we have from the committee, Kristen, John, Bill, I'm filling in for Gary. Marissa has, Ellen and Jeff are also present, and our representatives from admin and our 1579. And that's it. Oh, our teacher representative couldn't make it tonight. That was I was a little confused, just got that message. Okay, approval of the agenda, please. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Can I hear a motion, please, to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any conversation? No changes on the minutes? All in favor? Aye. Is there anyone on the phone? Josh?
No.
Discussions. Kim, policy number 4080.
So really, the policies, the two policies that are on the
80 and
agenda,
80A.
well, it's all of them, but even agenda item B, policy 5170, all fall under this Title IX umbrella where the law has recently changed. So for those that were on the board in 2020, you may recall that in 2020, there was large changes to the Title IX legislation, and as such, we brought forward to this committee some options that our attorney had made, because what the major change in 2020 was that there had become this very, for lack of a better word, litigious process in how Title IX complaints are investigated, and we had to assign 4 different people to do different roles with respect to Title IX. And if you weren't here for it, the long story short is the law was really changed to protect more investigations at the college level versus the K-12 level. And it was about really protecting people who might be wrongfully accused to make sure that they got a proper procedure before their lives were ruined in a wrongful accusation. So what we did at that time was we kind of separated our two policies. We created a sexual harassment policy that we could investigate, and we created a Title IX policy for sexual harassment to investigate, so that if we decided that the sexual harassment complaint didn't rise to the level of Title IX, we could dismiss it at Title IX, but then investigate it as sexual harassment under Connecticut law or federal law, not Title IX, but it would allow us to do a more appropriate investigation for a K-12 level. So that's what we did back in 2020. The law has now changed, so in 2024, the law has now changed where they've really expanded the definition of what sexual harassment is, but they've changed that grievance process requirement. So we're no longer obligated to have that really intense litigious grievance process. Our investigative process can really now mirror every other investigative process that we do in K-12 education, bullying investigation, a racial discrimination investigation, but any other investigation that we would do. So we still do a thoughtful investigation, but we no longer have that stringent, we no longer are required to have that stringent process. So what I've done is brought forward for you the new recommended policies for Shipman and Goodwin for both students and for personnel. And the recommendation would be that we no longer have the 2 separate policies and go back to 1 policy for sexual harassment, and we would just follow the same investigative process, still following the legal guidelines to dismiss as Title IX if we needed to, but investigate. And just in case anybody doesn't understand, Title IX really is, there's a specific definition around it, which really mirrors Connecticut law. But one of the main components is you have to prove that there was a loss of a benefit of educational benefit. So somehow there has to be an actual proof that there was, or an allegation that there was some, so i.e. someone is being repeatedly harassed and they don't come to school for 3 weeks because of it, because they feel like that would be a loss of an educational benefit. Somebody makes an allegation of some kind of harassment and it's one time, that might not fall under Title IX. It's still something that we would have to investigate, but it might not be a Title IX violation, just to kind of clarify the difference. So, and Hillary's really good at this stuff. Anything to add?
No, that's
Okay,
about right.
did I cover it?
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
much if they lose out on their being able to be educated, if they're that uncomfortable.
So, I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any specific questions about the policy, I have some of the specific changes. One of the other new changes is that every employee in the district must be trained annually on Title IX now. So we do have a component that we have from our attorneys that I've already put into the frontline system that I've already farmed out as of the beginning of this year for every employee to be able to get that training, so that's already being done.
That's an online
Yeah.
course, like one of those, just watch the video
Yeah.
and what's right or wrong.
Correct.
This-
Yes,
They, obviously they do that in their free time, cause teachers have so much free time.
we've given
But how
them
is it-
time in the PD calendar,
Okay, I was gonna say, is
so
it reimbursed in some way for their time, or how
We
does
gave
that work?
them
we
time.
gave them
Okay,
time, like,
okay.
so in August, the paraeducators had time on one of the PD days. The
Okay,
teachers are being given the first 3 PLC days to do all their mandated trainings.
okay,
Cause it's not just Title IX that we have to
It's
do,
so much.
there's
So many.
trafficking,
There's
there's,
like
Title
Trafficking.
IX, yes, human trafficking training that's required
I
for
mean, I guess
every
that's good,
employee in the
yeah.
district. The Title IX, there's bloodborne pathogens that have to be done every year, regular harassment training. Yeah, I think we figured it out and it's like 10 hours worth of mandatory trainings that every employee in the district has to do
yearly,
yearly.
okay,
Yeah, there's some trainings that are every 3 years, so we keep track of that,
okay,
but many of them are every single year.
sure, okay, thank you, Kim.
And not to belabor this point, but because you brought it up, Kristen, we gave teachers the time and staff the time because they need it, of course. But it's really a sad state of affairs because we have so little time for professional learning. And we've had to now devote the first 3 months of
Mandated
right, to do
training,
this.
yeah.
Right. I get that completely, yeah, that's a fair point.
Sad.
So you had a lovely 97-page packet to
That was fun to
review.
read.
So, yeah, I don't think we wanna go through it page by page, so if you have
No,
questions,
thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has about it.
I have a quick question, and then I'll go around the room for sure, but the Shipman's recommendation is that we can combine all those policies back into one again.
Correct, yes.
And they have that in here, I read their recommendation in the packet too, okay.
Yes.
Anybody have questions for Ken?
It's very similar.
Yeah, not much of a change, good change,
Yes, makes
For
us,
us.
make it
makes
definitely.
your job easier.
So it not only makes our job easier, but and Hillary, you can jump in if you want, to me, it makes it better for the students that we can handle it in a much more expeditious manner.
Yeah,
Because that was really the
Sure.
challenge at the K-12 level with the legislation from 2020, was that it was a very long drawn out process. There was very specific timelines in between each step of the process, and a single Title IX investigation could take up to 6 months.
When you can
Because
literally do it
you
in
have
less
to-
than a week.
You have to
Yeah, it
notify
just-
both parties, and you have to give them a minimum of 10 days to review the notification, and then you have to notify them of all the evidence, and you have to give them a minimum of 10 days to review that, and so all of those things are still in place, but if we really feel like it's not Title IX, we really have a route to go in a more efficient manner for the K-12 age appropriate level, so.
and we wanna move quickly, cause we don't want the kids missing out.
Exactly.
Right,
So that way,
Right.
this is helping us be able to make that determination and then move to the next part of the investigation.
So it's really better for the
That
students.
the parent knows you're really doing something,
Mhm.
it's not
Correct.
it's taking 6
Your
months,
hands
what
are
are you
tied,
doing?
right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Alright. John, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we see much of this? Is this something that happens a lot?
Yeah.
It is?
Unfortunately.
What would be a typical kind of harassment?
I'm gonna go ahead and just give an example at like middle school or high school level, a young student grabs another young student in an inappropriate area of their person.
Okay,
I will just say something of that
Automatic.
nature.
okay, and how
And
far
Title
does that
IX.
get? Does that get beyond the administrator level?
Well, yeah, so it would automatically have to go to the
It would
Title IX
have to go.
coordinator first. They would have to look at it and ask all the questions to determine if we can dismiss it under Title IX or move to another policy. And that's really, like I said, this is making that a little bit easier now for us. Like I said, the definition of sexual harassment has been expanded a little bit from the federal level, but it really doesn't change anything for us because Connecticut law already expanded that definition years ago. So what the federal law is adding some components to what constitutes sexual harassment. Connecticut law has already had those pieces in place for many years.
So it's student on student that we see more than
Correct.
Absolutely.
anything
Yes.
else.
It's rare to see it.
It is,
out there.
it is largely student on student that we see, yes.
And oftentimes, we think it might be Title IX and we really talk through it,
Correct.
with our Title IX coordinators at the different schools. And it really starts to come down, have they lost educational time due to the issue that's going on? A lot of times the answer is no. Kids just want it to stop, but they still keep coming to school, they're not, prevented from coming, but we continue, what's nice is that we make that determination, and then I, as an administrator, still dealing with the sexual harassment side of it. It's just not Title IX.
Yeah,
And it
so,
puts people on warning, so no one can say, oh, I didn't know that was, okay.
No, and that's all, like at the middle school, we're good about notifying kids and doing sexual harassment lessons and bringing forward those pieces and parts and what it is, especially because they're exposed to a lot of that online. And it seems normal to them and that's not normal, so we work through those pieces. And then we're able to offer those consequences that need to be done.
so really the questions that they ask are, is it subjectively and objectively offensive, so severe or pervasive that it limits or denies a person's ability to participate in or benefit from the district's education program or activity? Those are the questions that really have to be asked to determine whether it falls under that Title IX umbrella or not.
So I just wanna make sure that I'm clear, so there's two different avenues that can be taken essentially. The first is Title IX, which either needs to be ruled out or followed, correct?
Yes.
But I just want to make sure that I understand that it can still be considered sexual harassment where consequences are given and that child who is the victim would then be protected as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, because so it would still fall under non-discrimination.
Okay,
And it could still be under a different policy, it could be under bullying, it could be under just, any, so we can look at any other board policies outside, so yes, so we always want to discipline appropriately, but we just, the Title IX legislation is just very, very different than other legislative.
so let me just give you a quick scenario.
Sure.
So if, say for example, you have a female student that was touched inappropriately by a male student, and that female student went to administration or their teacher or whoever it might be, an adult in the building they felt comfortable with, but it wasn't deemed to fall under Title IX because it did not affect their education, they were not out of school.
It wasn't subjectively or
So
objectively
something
offensive,
like
but
that
yes.
would then fall under harassment possibly or another
Correct,
board
yes.
policy, and it wouldn't just be,
It wouldn't be
Would be
dismissed,
ignored.
it
Okay.
would just be investigated under a different
I believe that's what
policy,
you were
yes.
saying, I
Yes.
just wanted to clarify,
Correct,
thank you so
yes.
much.
Any other questions? That's it, everything rolled into one big
Yep.
bow, a
Correct.
big package with a big bow.
Yes, and
All right. Is anything else?
no, so agenda item B is
The same.
exactly the same thing, but
Right.
it's so we kind of talked about them together. The agenda item A was the personnel policy, and agenda item B was the student policy, so
Sure.
ditto of everything I just said.
Which is great. It-
Copy
it's
and
great.
paste.
Yeah.
It's really confusing too, like I remember going through actually helping Gary build a policy book when he took over policy.
Yeah.
And looking at these and thinking, these are the exact same thing.
They look the same, but yes,
You have
yeah.
personnel and student, and
yes.
after you your mind gets numb to it and you just overlook it, so that would be good to have
Yeah,
everything.
don't worry, the non-discrimination policies are coming back, and there's 3 of those.
Oh, good.
So-
All right, topics for future meetings, I think you can keep, student and staff dress code on there. And then whatever else might come up, between now and then. Ellen? Yep.
The policies that you just did, sorry to interrupt, but you're gonna bring them to the full board?
Oh, yes, yes, so, it goes to the full board, yeah, as long as the committee is in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So just dress code right now, unless you can think of something else, that's gonna be a while, yeah, that's a lot of meetings.
Do we have the one for the technology one too? We told Rachel we'd get that technology piece to her, you had, you had Mercer write it down last time.
Yes, right, there was, I said, make a note of that, and it was it for the
It's for the
policy around the collections
collection
and
of equipment
things
or
like that.
damages, and Rachel was looking for some help in
some
a
guidance?
policy to help enforce it.
And, you know, I don't know if you have, there may be other policies out there, and I don't mind digging around myself too, but, it was around the collection of outstanding insurance premiums and damage claims. There were a couple different things, but it was just more kind of giving her something to dig into.
And there was
Right.
one, I found one that talks about,
Oh, you did find, that's perfect, if you found one as an example.
I can try and send it, I got pieces, I clip and grab pieces of things. One about not being allowed to take one home. Like, so if you've damaged it, we will give you one to use during school.
Yep, it has to
And
stay
then-
here.
And somebody said, well, they said, well, it interrupts the educational process for doing
Well,
homework.
that's actually what our practice is.
I was gonna
That's
say,
what
we can already do some of that.
So it's just not, it's not written into policy, but that's what we do.
So I think that's what we would probably, if you're already doing it.
And that doesn't, but that won't affect the impact on their educational learning, because they can't do their homework, right? Okay,
So we don't give them
to take home.
to take home?
If they
Kids are
owe money or they're
consistently-
damaging the equipment, they can only use it at school.
If it's repeated.
Yeah, not like a
It's
one,
not-
you know, one
And
time,
we know
right?
it's not accidental, like it happens, like.
Yeah.
Extreme carelessness.
Just
Yeah.
vandalism.
No, this, again, personal experience, I did buy the protection plan for Emma for her MacBook. It somehow cracked, it was in its case, she brought it to the IT. They let her know that, they were going to give her a Chromebook as a loaner, but they did let her take it home. This kid's getting 4 hours of homework every night.
Oh, yeah,
If
that's
that had to
different.
carry
I
over,
think the
Yeah,
cases they're
but they're
talking about are
replacing it,
like.
right? Yeah.
yes, they actually already
This
have.
is where the kid does this right in front of us.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I totally understand.
Yeah,
As, cause
or like picking off
thinking of
keys.
these high school kids getting behind with their
Or
homework, if she had to do
Yes.
two nights worth of homework in one night, oh dear God.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
it's
chronic
for the
issue and they're
chronic
pretty sure it's
abusers.
intentional, those are the
Yeah.
issues.
Gotcha,
They're
okay, it actually worked out very well for her, but just wanted
The
to
other
check.
policies, there's a group of people that you need to be able to have an ability to address.
Yeah, right, right.
You know, we've got other policies that only affect
A lot of those,
really
like, we have a lot of
Only
those.
affects 5% of the people, but it
Yeah.
takes up 95% of our time, so
Right.
we gotta figure out a policy to address
Figure
it.
it
anchors
out.
the other 95%, but you have to do
So
it.
Jeff,
Yeah.
if you wanna share what you found with Sue and Kim, and then you guys, if you wanna try to, you know, we could build something from there at the next policy meetings, just to, since the legwork's already been done.
There's a piece of a Shipman one too, I found in the Shipman, in the,
Their
in
model
the model
policy,
policy.
library.
I'll grab that too.
well, they could,
Well, we could do
yeah,
that,
they
yeah.
could grab that, let them search,
Yeah,
it's okay.
if you search it, you'll find it's not actually a policy on it, but it shows up under, I think it's the acceptable use of technology was in that policy.
Oh, we have that.
We have, that's part of our policy, we
Yeah,
adopted
we
that
have
policy,
their-
is it
a
built
policy
into
in
ours?
I didn't see it when I looked at ours, but I was doing this from my
It
phone.
should be the
figured
same,
it-
cause I thought, didn't we
We
adopt their full policy?
Yes.
It may have also been an older one, you
Yeah,
search their
just doing
policy
it.
portal, it's,
Oh my
from
god,
a
it's
phone, it's
overwhelming.
not exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot, it's huge,
We'll check, but
okay.
we have adopted
Maybe.
the policy. Maybe they've updated it,
Maybe.
we haven't updated it.
Maybe that's what we're talking about, are we talking about acceptable use? Maybe that's what we're
It
talking
is,
about.
I think it is acceptable use
Maybe
of,
we just need to broaden.
well, that plus you have your premiums that you,
It
the
sounded like it
collection
was
of
more the
premiums.
collection piece
We have
than
a
it was
policy on
the,
collection of,
like
it's-
if they
it's
you
damages.
say.
Oh, it's
right,
just the damages,
Collection
she's
of the
looking for
damages.
support,
Collection
okay,
of the damages.
repeated offenders,
okay,
people who
gotcha.
don't return them, what we can do as
So
far as, there's
that's
a,
it.
Okay,
So maybe expand on our current policy to be very, a little bit more specific about what the expectations are, and what the consequences are if you violate the
yeah,
policy.
and what we can actually legally do.
Right,
Question, is it just for the main unit, or are we talking the headphones and the chargers? Because
everything.
they're constantly
We know.
missing.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
any district owned equipment,
Yeah.
yeah.
And mainly
The
it's
chargers,
the
everything.
chargers are outrageously always going.
Yeah.
Sadly, yeah. All right, so those are two good things, to cover for the next couple months.
Yeah, it'll take a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it. Comments for good of the order? Bill? Nothing. Tom?
Great meeting.
Quick one. Kristen?
No, thank you, great meeting.
Ellen? Great. Jeff?
Good meeting, guys.
I'm good.
So what's your name? Tracy, okay. I'll never forget now. Sue?
No, thank you, good meeting.
Kim?
Good meeting for a 97-page packet.
Intense,
Yeah, I
Joey?
was kind of cornered.
I was just gonna say, quick disposition for a 97-page packet. Nicely done.
Thank you. Yeah. Josh? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned, folks.